Hello everyone. Today we will practice the phrases related to the word fundamental and happened. And then we'll continue with the dictation of transcription number 103 and 104 from volume 5 KC magazine. These are the pick of the phrases related to fundamental and happened. Some phrases will be having more than one outline. I suggest choose the shortest form. First, I am reading these phrases and then you have to practice these phrases at least one line or two lines and then get ready for the dictation. And in members only videos, we are practicing the phrases in various other ways so that we'll get the quickness while writing these phrases in sentences in paragraph. To join the membership, click the join button which is next to the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. So let's begin. Fundamental rule, fundamental role, fundamental rights, fundamental law, fundamental basis, fundamental principles. Now, these are the phrases related to the word happened. I am reading them first. As to what happened, that has happened, what happens, what happened, what has happened, what is happening. Practice these phrases and then get ready for the dictation. Fundamental rule, as to what happened, fundamental role, that has happened, fundamental principles, what happens, fundamental law, what has happened, fundamental rights, what is happening, fundamental law, what happened, what happens, fundamental basis. Translate and check and get ready for the dictation of transcription number 103. The speed will be around 80 words per minute. For your convenience, I have included the timestamps in the description. Get ready, everyone. Mr. Deputy Chairman, I think that it will be generally agreed that a bill of this type is almost unavoidable at the present stage. There may be differences about some measures and also about the extent to which the government proposes to go, that some fiscal control would be necessary at this stage when we are having development programs on a very large scale, a good part of which would be financed through deficit financing will, I hope, be uncontested. I think the fact that in the 11th 5-year plan, the greatest emphasis has been placed on heavy industries, especially on the production of certain types of capital goods, lends further force to an argument of this type. I am aware that the 11th 5-year plan has also provided that there will be an expansion in consumption, but I have no doubt that the greater emphasis on capital goods will result in at least a temporary shortage in consumer goods, and this may lead to further inflationary pressures. To a certain extent, such pressures have already been felt. The recent rise in prices is a kind of warning of the kind of situation that may develop unless we are careful from the very beginning. Therefore, I would say that this measure of the government, insofar as I can understand it, has a twofold aim. On the one hand, to increase the capacity of the Reserve Bank for creating money by note issue, and on the other hand to put restrictions on the creation of credit by private banks. The first aim is intended to ensure that the money that is required for the economic development of the country will not be lacking. The second is to see that unregulated creation of credit by private scheduled banks will not create a situation whereby inflationary pressures would become too great. To that extent, everybody would agree that a bill of this type is unavoidable. I have, however, a few questions to ask of the Honorable the Finance Minister, and I have no doubt he will be able to meet the doubts which I have in my mind. My first doubt is whether there is not an undue measure of fear about these inflationary pressures. In the 11th plan, there is an uncovered gap of rupees 400 crores, and there is also a proposal to have rupees 1200 crores of deficit financing, and so we may say that deficit financing would be of the order of rupees 1600 crores, because after all the uncovered portion has to be met somehow or the other. I do not know whether sufficient credit has been taken off a possible adverse trade balance which is bound to develop during the first 2 or 3 years of the 11th 5-year plan. We are going to industrialize on a fairly heavy scale, and as we import machinery on a large scale, an adverse balance of trade is bound to develop. This adverse balance of trade will, to a certain extent, act as a check against any inflationary pressures. Then again, there is the question of production of food grains and other materials within the country. Our economy is an expanding economy at the moment, and I think that by the end of the first year of the 11th plan, or sometime during the second year of the 11th plan, many of the measures which were undertaken during the 10th plan will start yielding results. Many of the major irrigation projects will give full dividends, and the production of food grains in the country is bound to go up. As the production of food grains goes up within the country, it will again be a check on inflationary pressures. Also, some of the industries which were established during the 10th plan will start yielding results. From this point of view, I would also like the Honorable Finance Minister to consider whether the pattern of deficit financing which has been adopted in the 11th five-year plan is sound or may require some modification. To my mind, it appears that the decision to put the maximum amount of deficit financing in the first year of the 11th five-year plan is not appropriate. Perhaps it would be a wiser thing to put the maximum amount in the second year of the 11th five-year plan, because by that time the factors which I have mentioned just now will have come into operation. There will be more production of food grains within the country. Some of the results of industrialization during the 10th five-year plan will begin to be felt, and as there will be a larger volume of commodities of every type in the country, a larger dose of deficit financing in the second year of the 11th five-year plan may prove a more salutary measure than the decision to have the largest dose in the first year. There is another reason why I am a little apprehensive of having the biggest dose of deficit financing in the first year of the 11th five-year plan. If once the inflationary process starts, if once there is any disturbance in the psychology of the market, the results are difficult to foresee. If therefore, in the first year of the 11th plan, we proceed a little more cautiously and have the biggest dose in the 11th year and perhaps a little less in the third, and then start tightening up and reduce the deficit financing, you will have 3 years, the third, fourth, and the fifth of the second plan, both to watch and to take such remedial measures as may be necessary. This is a suggestion which I would like the Honorable Finance Minister to consider. I am mentioning it here because I think it has a definite relevance to the proposal he has made for currency expansion by doing away with the ratio between the gold, bullion, and the securities. Stop, translate, and check. Get ready for the another one. Transcription number 104. In recent months, we have seen how speculation took place in regard to certain foodstuffs and other agricultural commodities. The Reserve Bank bulletins issued recently tell us that lots of money were advanced by a number of scheduled banks in order to back up the speculative operations and buyings of certain concerns. Similarly, monies had been advanced for speculative purchasing with regard to other commodities. Such things are happening, but the point is that these speculations go on merrily in this country, supported by those very elements who control the stock exchange and the financial world of our country. I should like to know to what extent this is going to be stopped. It is said that we are in a bad situation, and in order to give a proper direction to the planned development of the country, it is essential to direct the investments and speculative investments in particular. How much this measure confirms to these, I should like to know from the government. It appears to me that not very much will have come out of this measure, notwithstanding the fact that government is armed with these powers. It is of vital importance today that we should have proper control of our investments that are taking place, or cornering of shares in some cases. If we are at all serious about the planned development of our economy in general and our industry and commerce in particular, I am afraid the powers that are being taken by the government under this bill are not at all sufficient for ensuring such developments as would enable the government to direct investment and control transfer of shares, etc., in conformity with the interests of planned economic development. This is what I find from the reading of this bill, and even from hearing the speech that has been delivered by the Honorable Minister. I have also read the other speech he has made in the other house that does not throw much light on the subject. I am not surprised, because when the whole thing was being discussed and mooted by the government, the approach of the government suffered from certain deficiencies. That is to say, they were not so much keen on suppressing wholesale the speculative operations as on getting a certain measure of control over them. Today, the time has come for making up one's mind with regard to the speculation business as a whole. This is the most important thing. With regard to investment, it has been said very eloquently in these documents that after all, a person should have an opportunity of investing his funds, and therefore he should have a chance of going to the market and buying some shares. I can understand it, but what is the protection against his being cheated by certain people who have taken command of the stock exchange? What is the guarantee against that? Black transfer is there, it is not abolished. Forward trading is there. Contract is provided for, it is not abolished. Also, there are other ways and means of cheating the common man. As we find today, the common man goes in for investment very genuinely. He goes in for investing because he wants to save some money for bad days. Now, what is the protection in this bill which would save his money? I find that there is no such effective guarantee. I should have thought that in considering this whole scheme of measures, the government would be interested in seeing as to how the heart of speculative operation could be crushed, namely the monopolists who control the stock exchange today. It is essential to hound them out of the field altogether. In Kolkata, they not only put up an outward show, but they have built underworld, and I suppose that underworld exists even today. A police raid took place, telephone system and the whole paraphernalia was discovered, which showed that certain big men in the stock exchanges were carrying on subterranean business. This is a new type of underworld we have in our country in order to cheat the common man, in order to evade taxes, in order to carry on profiteering and black market trades. Lots of things came to light that day, and the newspapers gave a lot of publicity. We came across certain very big people. Some of them are very well known patrons of the Congress party, the ruling party, who were hauled up in this fashion. What has happened to them? We would like to know when we discuss such a measure. They are the kings in the speculation world, they are the tycoons of that field. I would like to know what has happened to such people. What are you going to do with these speculators? Will they be allowed to operate openly or secretly in the field under this fashion? Or are you really thinking of taking some action against them, not merely for apprehending those people who have gone underground and started underground business in this manner, but also the possible recruits to that underworld? I would like to know. This is what the government should tell us. It is no use trying to bring in all technical questions explaining one clause after another. This is important, but what we would like to know from the government is how you are going to check these elements who sit on top of the country as far as the stock exchange is concerned. These are very big and powerful people, and they need to be suppressed with a heavy hand in the interests of our economy. I find the Honorable Minister piloting this bill is completely indifferent to that aspect of the matter. There have been cases where a person, a speculator, so to say, goes in for heavy purchases at one time. The heavy pressure boosts up the prices. Then he starts selling it, thereby realizing the money he had spent for buying certain shares in the market. Stop, translate, and check. Thank you.